The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. This is hour number 2. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and our good friends at iHeartRadio. If you'd like to check us out on any of the social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and to find out about the great programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Before I get to my next guest, don't forget we have a brand new show starting this coming 2 weeks from now, I believe. Yeah, Craig, 2 weeks for Dr. A. My producer and good friend, Craig West on the other side of the glass, said, yes, in 2 weeks, Dr. A is with us, and that's Dr. Angela Wagner. She is starting her show here exclusively on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our affiliates. AskDrAngelica.com. My guest this hour, X Zone Nation, is Nicki Scully, and Nicki founded Shamanic Journeys Limited, and continues to guide inner journeys and organize spiritual pilgrimages to Egypt and other sacred sites. Nicki lives in Eugene, Oregon, where she maintains a healing and shamanic consulting practice. Nicki is focusing on televideo classes, her free planetary healing calls to action, and promoting and teaching classes from her new book, Sekhmet, Transformation in the Belly of the Goddess, including workshops and presentations at gatherings, conferences, and festivals worldwide. Her website, shamanicjourneys.com. And Nicki, welcome back to the X Zone, you traveling devil, you.
Thank you, Rob.
So where have you been lately, Nicki? Every time I talk to you, you've been somewhere else fascinating in this world, but still bringing people to sacred sites.
Well, actually, I've stopped traveling at that level. I've turned the travel part to one of my partners, Indigo Ronlove, and she's leading, I think, 2 or 3 trips this year.
Wow.
One in February, one in March, and one again in September. And so we're still doing it. We'll do it as long as we think it's safe. And the minute we get a no, we're done.
Let me ask you, Nicki, that's just something that I've often wondered after you've been on the show, but you've clicked a memory. How do you and your team, kind of figure out if it's a safe place to go, if your travelers are going to be in any sort of danger, and how do you protect them while you're in quasi-safe areas?
Well, actually, if you look at the world right now, what is a guaranteed safe area?
Mm-hmm. Well, good point.
I mean, you take the same chance when you walk out the door in any city in this country than you do in Egypt, except in Egypt, they really don't want anything to happen to you. So you're under a tremendous amount of security.
So you're probably
very subtle.
So you're probably safer in Egypt than you are in any major American city.
Well, I would say so. Yeah. I mean, there's places I won't go. I won't take my groups to Sinai, for example, because there's been problems there. I won't take them even to Siwa at this time, or into the Western Desert. I won't go into places that I don't feel is safe, and I have developed, since I started going in 1978, a really good relationship with not only the people that organize for me over there, who really know their way around and are experienced, but with the Pantheon. And so, I mean, if somebody has a dream or that would be more of a nightmare, we would stop. We ask almost on a daily basis, is everything still clear? And things are clear. And the minute we get a not clear, it's over.
I'd like to talk to you about your new book called Sekhmet, Transformation in the Belly of the Goddess. Who is Sekhmet?
Sekhmet is the lioness-headed goddess of Egypt, who is very fiercely compassionate. And although she's known as the god of war and destruction, she's also that quintessential healing goddess of Egypt. And it's in her aspect as a healing goddess and as a guardian of Ma'at, which is both goddess and concept for truth, balance, justice, and cosmic law. And when things get out of whack like they are now, as they're certainly out of balance right now, and we've kind of gone past the tipping point. So that's when Sekhmet is called in to make it right, to bring things back into balance. So what she's doing with this book is training people by shamanically actually devouring them when the first part of the book, there is the preparation for a shamanic death, illumination, and rebirth. And you spend a lot of time preparing and tying knots for all the things you want to change about your character, your physical health, your mental health, your emotional well-being, and your prayers and your gratitudes. And when you have a nice hefty bundle, then I take them on a journey and they offer it to the goddess, and she actually devours them as well. So this is for people who they don't have to be advanced. They just have to be willing to know that they're going to be safer than anywhere in the world while they're in the belly of this goddess, and they're living the rest of their lives at the same time.
How did you discover all of this?
Well, I've led more than 60 trips to Egypt.
Okay.
And I've taught 20 years of the Egyptian mysteries with Normandy Ellis, who is both a scholar and a priestess, and also reads the hieroglyphs. And we managed to build in the process a temple that's consecrated in the ancient way. And so we learned by teaching, because it's always different. And over the years, we've developed relationships with the Pantheon. And Sekhmet it's her time, because we are so out of whack. And she's known for her myth, where when this happened the first time, she was so upset by what she saw when she came to the planet to deal with things that she just started murdering everybody. And they had to, according to the myth, the way it was translated, trick her into stopping. But they actually, what they gave her, the special brew that Thoth told them to create for her and give her that she would think was blood, if you could imagine such a thing. I believe it was the medicine of the day, which took her from rage into love, and she walked away. So this time, she's doing it differently. And by passing through her belly, you become her and she becomes you, because you are what you eat. So in that exchange, you receive healing at virtually every level. It's an amazing process. I don't think there's anything else that even comes close.
We've got to take our commercial break in about a minute, but you said you are what you eat. Now, I love hamburgers, but I haven't turned into a cow. I love fish. I haven't turned into a fish. I love vegetables. I haven't turned into a vegetable. So how can we say with any certainty, and how can we actually use this as an example?
I'll wait till after the commercial break.
All right.
It's a really good question.
All right, stand by, Nicki. Nicki Scully is our special guest this hour, X-Zone Nation. www.shamanicjourneys.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And you can find out the broadcast schedule for each and every day with our compliments on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. Geez, now I've got to remember what I had for supper. I had turkey provolone at Costco with my wife. Let me see. So, turkey, okay. I also had some ice cream. Bad me. I hope my doctor's not listening to that. But anyway, we'll talk with Nicki on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Gwilda Wiyaka's latest book, The Science of Magic, Book of Mysteries, Volume 1, is the first book in a series based on her writings that open every episode of the Science of Magic radio show. Drawing on the subject matter of each guest, and armed with over 40 years' experience in shamanism, 35 years in alternative health, and degrees in psychology and religious studies, Gwilda introduces relevant and leading-edge information that supports spiritual evolution and personal empowerment. Rich with wisdom and inspirational quotes packaged in digestible segments, this is a book that will pull you from cover to cover. It will also serve as a daily inspirational reading for years to come. The Science of Magic Book of Mysteries, Volume 1 is available at our website, tsompublications.com, amazon.com, and wherever fine books are sold. Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the two top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X-Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X-Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk. Nicki Scully is my special guest, Exxon Nation. ShamanicJourneys.com. Right, Nicki, before we went to the commercial break, you kind of said that, when Sekhmet puts you in her stomach, you're protected because you become what you eat. Explain that to me, please.
Well, okay, we are all alchemists. If you ate that hamburger, your body knows how to separate out the parts that are useful.
Sure.
What's going to make muscle? What's going to feed bone?
Yep.
What's going to, what to give off as waste. Well,
Yes.
when you take this offering and have put all the things that you want transformed in it, and she eats it, and she goes through all that she consciously divvies you up, so to speak, in the digestion process.
I see.
And takes you down to your essence.
Metaphorically
And
speaking here.
What?
Metaphorically speaking.
Well, that depends. If you're having the experience, it's not exactly metaphorically.
But if you're alive, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense that that if I put this bundle together and the Sekhmet eats it and I end up in her belly. Unless I am dead, it cannot be anything else but metaphorically.
This is a shamanic journey. This is like your subconscious mind does not differentiate between what's a dream, a vision, your imagination, or a shamanic journey.
So this is strictly a shamanic journey.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's alchemy. But
how can wait a sec now? Now, once again, how can a shamanic journey be alchemy? Because alchemy is the changing of one material to the next. How does this apply?
What we're doing with the work.
But how does this apply to
yourself.
It's a spiritual essence. So it
Of
doesn't
course
change.
It's the spiritual essence. That's what our essence is.
I understand that,
So
but I'm trying to put into some way that I can understand how a shamanic journey
Have you ever experienced shamanic death?
No, I haven't even experienced mortal death yet, thank God.
Have you ever done a vision quest, like a classic vision quest with a medicine man? And
I did it once with a bottle of JD.
Is it fair to ask you if you've taken psychedelics?
Yes, it's very fair, and no, I haven't. I was a police officer before getting into radio, and one of the thrills in my life was throwing people who use drugs into jail.
So you don't differentiate between psychedelics and heroin?
They're illegal drugs. The person who uses that should be thrown in jail.
Well, because of that, and because I started using them before they were made illegal.
Okay.
When they became illegal, it became a whole different deal. And particularly, since I don't know if you know my background, but I first went to Egypt with the Grateful Dead in 1978 because my husband was their original manager.
Yeah, I remember that you were involved with the Grateful Dead. I remember that.
So I have this history and this psychedelic background. Well, when I realized that I was becoming a teacher, I made a commitment to teach in a way that people would not have to take illegal substances, but could have that same level of transcendent experience without drugs. And so I've spent my life, and I'm 75 years old now.
Oh, come off it. You don't even sound 45 years old.
Flattery's not going to get you anywhere.
Well, I bet.
But thank you.
You're welcome.
So
let me ask you this. All right, let's get back on track here because my mind is starting to wander. I was going to go with the Grateful Dead, and I've decided, let's get back to the book. You said that the last time, known for the myth of the first time when Sekhmet was very violent, she killed people. How do we know that this time around she won't do the same?
Because nothing is static. We're all growing, whether you're and evolving, and we all learn from our experiences. So even the gods aren't static.
Well,
the thing is that, okay, I was raised Jewish.
Okay.
And the idea of goddess was absurd to me.
Mm-hmm.
And one night my husband sat up, not that rock star husband, but my current husband.
How many husbands have you had?
Huh?
How many husbands have you had? 3. You devil, you.
Yeah, but it's worth it to get to the one I've got now. He's the visionary in the family, and he's really.
And you're the mover and the groover.
Well, I'm the voice and the one that can go out in the world and articulate it.
Like I said, the mover and the groover.
Yeah, but we're collaborators.
There you go.
And so,
he sat up in bed
and said, "Who is this goddess anyway?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, I don't know, but I suppose that since you asked the question, we're going to find out." And when I started taking people to Egypt,
mm-hmm.
I had already started developing relationships with various deities in the pantheon, and they've been very generous with us, creating all these magical experiences. But there's a little chapel in Karnak, which is in Luxor, where there's a statue of Sekhmet, a black granite
mm-hmm.
statue that's been there for 3,500 years. And when we go there, which we've had to smuggle ourselves in there because it's been off limits for a long time.
So you break the law, okay.
Well, we have fun doing it.
Everything's
illegal in Egypt.
Oh.
To meditate is illegal in Egypt.
So why do you keep going to Egypt then if it's illegal to do all the fun stuff?
Because you just work around it.
So you break the law in order to have a good time because you're on a spiritual quest.
Well, now think about what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a law is it that says you can't breathe?
Well, they didn't say. They said
you close your eyes
mm-hmm.
and focusing on a prayer, they're going to kick you out.
Well, don't you think, as a tourist visiting another land, that as an American representing the United States of America as a tourist, that you'd want to obey the laws of the land to the country that you're visiting?
Yeah, so what I do is I buy private permits and I rent the temples, and then we have them to ourselves and we can do what we want.
So you're not breaking the law, right?
No, we're just doing our work.
But
we've already rented the temples. They've given it to us. We can do what we want.
Okay, so there's no breaking of the law, or there's no circumventing of anything. You're doing it in the up and up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what significance does Sekhmet have over the other
Well, that's
deities?
what I was going to get to.
Okay.
At the beginning of every trip, we asked
mm-hmm.
people why they came to Egypt. And they had all kinds of reasons and things they were looking for. But when we go to her chapel
mm-hmm.
and when they stand before her, they have an experience that they can't explain. And it happens to pretty much everyone. And at the end of the trip, they all acknowledge that they came because she somehow called them. Now, I can't explain this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shamanic experience isn't something that you can articulate and explain. You simply have to have it.
But if you can't articulate it or explain it, how do people know they actually have them?
because when I take them on the journey, they have an experience. And if they feel it, there's no way that anybody can make that happen. Like, you can fool somebody with vision. You can fool somebody in a lot of ways, but you can't make goosebumps.
Oh, I don't know about that, but...
You think you could make somebody have goosebumps?
Oh, I used to do that all the time in the police force as an investigator and during an interrogation. Oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do that with guests on the show. I can do that with my children.
Go ahead, give me some goosebumps. This I got to experience.
Well, I'll tell you what. You give me the, we were talking about shamanic journeys and how people can feel it. And if you can tell me how people know that they're having a real shamanic journey, or do they have to, or do they
make them a shaman?
No. I understand that. I understand that.
It's the people. It's their feedback. How are their lives changed? What's different in their lives gives veracity to the work.
Okay.
There's nothing that I can say that does, but the hundreds of people that have done this would be able to tell you their experience.
All right, stand by. We've got to take a break. We'll be back on the other side as we go to the newsroom. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X Zone Broadcast Network. I'll be back on the...
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network. www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Demo.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Nicki Scully is my guest. Nicki is the young lady behind shamanicjourneys.com. And Nicki, why would people have to go to Egypt to experience this feeling while they stand at the base of the sculpture or the statue of Sekhmet? Why couldn't they get the same if you're taking them on a shamanic journey from someplace in the United States?
They do all the time. In fact, I'm starting a class on Thursday night that I'm doing by video chat on Sekhmet, and we go through the whole transformation process.
What does the transformation process entail?
It entails them preparing by determining what they want to change in themselves, what, characteristics they see as flaws that are holding them back, weaknesses, illnesses, things like that. And I'm trying to remember exactly how you phrased your question.
Okay, let me ask you this. You take somebody who is going to participate in this shamanic journey to Sekhmet. All right. Yeah. How do you prepare them?
Well, I first we deal with fear, and that we do that with a shamanic journey.
Okay.
Because the idea of being devoured could be frightening to people who aren't experienced in shamanic ways and are not used to having shamanic death, illumination, and rebirth. And so we deal with fear, and I take them on a journey to the Sphinx where they, in a sense, ask permission to go through these mysteries, because we see that as the guardian of the mysteries, and they're given a bundle of some other things that they may have forgotten or neglected to take with them and to analyze and to tie knots for as well. And then when they're ready, then we journey, and I explain what's going to happen ahead of time so nothing's going to surprise them or shock them. But it's a different experience for every person. But many people have come to me because they were at the Metropolitan in New York, or at the Louvre, or at the British Museum, or in Chicago, or any of the places where her statues have wound up, and said, I'm coming to you because I had an experience at this museum with this statue, that it spoke to me, and I don't understand it, and I want to know why. And that's my signal. Well, they've been called by her.
Why are only certain people called?
Because they have to be people that are willing to be truth speakers, that are willing to be warriors for Ma'at, for that concept of truth with a capital T, of justice and balance and cosmic law, not people's law.
But you're just talking about ordinary people here. You're not talking about real warriors. You're not talking about...
yes, I am. Ordinary people are real warriors.
Maybe in their minds they are, but take a look at society. You can't tell me that this world that we're in is full of warriors seeking the truth with the mess this world is in.
Well, I'm sure finding a lot of them. 200 of them showed up on my call for planetary healing. Yeah, actually more like 250.
Wow.
That I did the other night, because they're looking for ways, and in this work through these shamanic journeys, they experience change.
Well, let me ask you this: if Egypt is the focal point of all these deities, and I should say,
one.
Okay, let me just use Sekhmet for example. If she is the deity in Egypt, Egypt itself has a hell of a history. How come she didn't help her own people, or the land that she has governance over, the people she has governance over?
That died of corruption, a couple of thousand years ago. But it did last longer than any other civilization we can look at. Well, no, not really. I mean, The Hindu civilization has been alive, but I don't know whether it had started back then or when it started. But but these are all, there are living traditions that still function in this way. I mean, the Tibetan Buddhists keep their deities alive by saying puja and by interacting with them to keep them alive.
Could we say the same in today's society, that we keep Santa Claus alive, the Easter Bunny alive, Cupid alive, the little leprechaun on St. Patrick's Day? Are these other examples of how we in modern day society keep traditions alive?
Well, I think there's a difference between where Christmas came from is so different than where it is now that I just don't even see how that is an example.
Well, it's very simple. It's an example because every December the 25th, children around the world open Christmas gifts that came from Santa Claus, who is a little fat man, sits in a sleigh and is pulled around the earth by 8 tiny little reindeer. That hasn't changed in years.
Yes, but it has changed because 1,000 years ago they weren't, even 200 years ago.
But what I'm saying is that modern society talks about Santa Claus. No one that I know has ever talked about Sekhmet.
Well, but you'd have to know people that are interested in the ancient Egyptian theosophy and what made them so passionate as to put the effort that they put into building those temples and encoding them with all this knowledge.
All what knowledge? I haven't seen any great.
Able to read hieroglyphics.
I haven't seen any great knowledge come out of Egypt.
Well, then
what's
you
the great
don't
knowledge?
Read the same books that I do.
But what's the great knowledge?
You don't go to Egypt.
What is the great knowledge? How is the great knowledge of ancient Egypt applied here in the United States and Canada, North America, or anywhere else in the world in today's society?
The people that I work with are committed to doing whatever they can to improve this world. And it's different for each of them.
Okay.
They're also committed to use the capacities that are inherent in all of us to help and heal one another that have atrophied because our culture does not support that. Our culture supports Western medicine, which I do too. I'm a bridge. I'm a cancer survivor. And when I went to Egypt to ask for direction,
right,
I was told to go back and get surgery and do chemotherapy. And I'm going, why? And they said, because well, I didn't have the discipline to do it myself, and
Sure.
I knew it.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to communicate across all social barriers. So I grew up in Beverly Hills, but I dropped out and became part of the Grateful Dead family. I've been, I've covered the range, and I've done a lot of traveling to many countries where magic is still alive. But it's not in Egypt unless you go in with an open heart and the right questions, and then it opens up. Then you don't have to be someone like me, but you have to be a person who's seeking to understand what they've tried to say, what was so important that they built those temples, those massive temples, and covered them with instructions.
But we're looking at a society that had very little knowledge of the real world around us. They had to, in order to survive, create their own myths, their own legends, to try and make sense of a world that to them was very puzzling. They didn't know anything about biology. They knew nothing about astrophysics, quantum physics.
You are so wrong.
No, I am so right. Because if that is the case, if that is truly the case, how come we had to learn all this over again instead of just going to the temples in Egypt, getting the instructions off the shelf, and saving ourselves a lot of work and saving a lot of lives?
Well, some of us do that. Some of us do go to Egypt and read what's on those walls and then bring that back and share them with people. And those people have a different view of life than others.
I see. Well,
and that's just, that's the diversity of this country and this culture, that we have the freedom to do that.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our final break. X-Zone Nation. Nicki Scully's our special guest. www.shamanicjourneys.com, and we'll be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Digital Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, and iHeartRadio. Don't go away.
Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
And welcome back, everyone. Nicki Scully is our guest, www.shamanicjourneys.com. Nicki, what is the difference between the shamanic way of looking at life compared to those who practice Catholicism or any other of the religious philosophies that are not connected with Egypt or spiritual travel?
Well, Christianity is definitely connected with Egypt, because many people say that Jesus spent a great deal of time there, and that's where he learned how to be the healer that he was. But more important are the myths. Like the myth of Isis and Osiris is the first virgin birth, and it parallels the story of Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. And so Christianity actually started in Egypt. And in terms of the shamanic view of of ancient Egypt, that's new. That was just published in a book called Shamanic Wisdom in the Pyramid Texts in the last 10 years by a scholar named Jeremy Nadler, who, when he was translating the texts in the Pyramid of Unas, he realized that it was for the living king, not the dead king. So people think that they were obsessed with death and didn't realize that those initiations were for the living king and had to be done in order for him or her to have a direct connection with divinity, with source, in order to hold the reins for the empire. And so when you had a pharaoh who did those and lived by those rules, then you had the high civilization of Egypt. And then when you get the corruption in and the power mongers in, then they would lose it until they could get somebody back in who was true to the actual responsibilities of what it is to be a pharaoh for the people.
Something you said before I want to ask you about. You said that Sekhmet came to this planet. What planet or where did she come from?
Well, we all come from the stars, okay? That's just science. Everything comes from the stars. And
whoa, wait a second. Hold on here. Where does science say that humans came from the stars?
Well, this planet came from the stars everything on it.
What about the theory of evolution? Doesn't say anything about anything coming from the stars.
Well, no, you'd have to go back to before there were creatures living here. When,
So are we talking prehistory? Prehistory?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But
wherever
when I say come to this planet, I mean come into the consciousness of the people who are ready to have the experience. And so some people listening will say, oh, it's all a bunch of bull. And other people will go, oh, I get it. That's why I've been dreaming of lions. And that's why I've been having these thoughts or visions that I didn't understand, or these experiences. And then those are the people that will come and find me or find my book and get what it came here to do. Because that's how she's coming here this time, is
But how do we know that she's
not the only one? But I am one conduit for her.
Why you?
I don't know. Because I'm blessed, I guess.
All right. How do we know she's coming here for good this time? Many different philosophies believe the second coming is a sign and a time of retribution. For example, in the book...
Absolutely. But this is not that.
How do we know?
Because she's a healer. Because everybody who does this work comes... their experience is transcendent. It's not ordinary. And you'd have to, I think you'd have to want or know about that edge to walk it. And not everybody is.
Is that edge a replacement for reality that people face on a daily basis?
No, it's another level of reality that unless you're open to it, you're not going to experience it.
So how does this new reality help people in their day-to-day lives?
It's not new.
All right.
Shamanic cultures have been doing this for as long as there have been people.
All right. So you call it a culture?
Most indigenous cultures have a shamanic base. It's just not been recognized by our culture, and so look what's happening to us.
Oh, I don't think you can blame it on that. I think there's a lot else that you can actually point the finger at, but I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think that because somebody doesn't believe in a shamanic culture that the entire society is going to hell in a handbasket.
It's true, and so I'm doing the best I can with this work to help. Hopefully make sure that doesn't happen.
Would you say that people who practice other religious philosophies, such as Catholicism, Hindu, Hebrew, Christianity, are also doing their very best to make a positive change in this world of ours?
Sure hope so.
You hope so?
The ones that I know are.
You hope so, but you're not sure.
Well, not when I look at what's being done in the name of Christianity in a lot of places in this country.
Well, I don't understand
that. Huh?
I don't understand that. Could you be more specific?
Well, sure. Look at what's happening with the far right and in Alabama and in places where they're still, where they'd like to bring back slavery.
All right, you're talking about segregation.
I'm talking about racism of any kind. I'm talking about...
well, there was racism in Egypt as well.
Well, you know what? The more recent discoveries have been, and I have toured the village of the builders of the pyramids, and they were not slaves.
So the Bible's wrong.
The Bible?
Oh, yeah. In the Bible, it clearly states that they were slaves. The Hebrews were slaves to the Egyptians.
Do you take the Bible literally?
I'm a Christian. I don't take shamanism seriously, but I do take the Bible seriously.
Well, I don't take the Bible seriously, but I do take shamanism seriously. And it's not a religion.
What is it? How would you... Is it a spiritual experience?
Okay, a shaman... Now, I'm not saying I'm a shaman, but what a shaman is, as I understand it, is... Because that's conferred by community, and there are communities that call me shaman, but I don't call myself shaman.
Okay.
It's one who crosses between the worlds, who goes into other dimensions of reality to bring back power and healing for their community. Now we have a global community. And so the isolationism of the United States is, I think, putting us at risk that doesn't need to be happening.
How do you mean the isolationism of the United States? I don't see the United States as being isolated. I see it as being global, one of the leading global countries in the world.
Well, it has been. I think right now it's kind of on the edge. We're losing respect, I believe.
I think that what is happening is people realize that they just can't do what they want anymore with the United States because they don't have a pussycat in the White House, and they actually have somebody who stands on his own 2 feet and isn't afraid to say what 95% of the American people have been thinking, but they're too damn afraid to say.
Well, I guess I'm in the other 5%. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, Nicki, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And what do you say to that? She calls herself a shaman. She calls herself Shamanic Journeys. But she says that she's not a shaman. I don't know what to tell you, X-Zone Nation. This is something you have to figure out on your own. I bring the facts. I bring the questions, I bring the theories, and I do something better than give people goosebumps. I get them to stutter. And when they stutter, they're up against the ropes because they know the jig is up. That's what stuttering gets. It's much more fun than goosebumps. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.